Welcome, everyone. Glad you are here. I'm going to give everyone just a few moments to join and get settled. We've got people joining here slowly, but I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. It's 12:01, and just wanted to introduce myself first. My name is Kate Deering. I'm an associate director within Gies Online programs. And if you are looking for the iDegree workshop on networking and immersion opportunities within Gies Online programs, you are in the right place. Very excited that you are here taking a step in hopefully the right direction to explore your options with Gies and check out how we do things here and learn a little bit more about really some of our credentials that we offer, but also more importantly, the ways that you're going to connect with your peers and network while you're in one of our programs. So we hope that you learn a lot of new things today about Gies Online. If you are joining us for the first time or are interested in speaking with an admission counselor sooner than later, you can go ahead and scan the QR code that's on your screen currently, and that will connect you with them. They'll reach out, see how you want to connect via email or phone, and are really there to have a conversation with you and talk about your goals and really, answer any questions that you have. So great resource there. So yeah, here's our agenda today. We're going to talk about the Gies stackable design. We're going to talk about briefly, just to give you an overview of the credentials that that you can apply and enroll in. And then more importantly, we're going to get to the networking and engagement side of being part of a Gies credential in one of our degree programs. That's going to include all of the networking opportunities as well as immersion opportunities. And then we are lucky today to have one of our current students that's actually been on an immersion. She also is just a great resource of information from the current student perspective. And her name is Chelsea Doman, and I'm going to have her introduce herself today right now.
Thanks, Kate. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello from wherever you're joining. As Kate said, my name is Chelsea Doman. I have been in the MBA program for almost 3 years, and I will be graduating in 2 weeks. So I have lots of mixed feelings about that. My work experience has been mostly centered around data and analytics and operations, mostly in the energy industry. I am originally from Illinois and have lived a few other places, including overseas, and currently I live in Wisconsin. Excited to be here today and talk about Gies.
Awesome. Chelsea is going to be just a great resource during our time together today. If you have questions, I would say go ahead and throw those in the Q&A feature or the chat. Chelsea's here. She's going to be able to answer questions there if you have specific questions for her. We also have a fairly small group. If you want to go ahead and raise your hand or just send me a message, I can answer some of those questions as we roll today as well. Let's see. And then we'll also have, plenty of time at the end, hopefully, for a little Q&A. So to start, I just wanted to give kind of a brief overview of Gies Business. The Gies College of Business is one of 16 colleges that is within the greater University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So hopefully you are familiar with the larger college. Within the Gies College of Business, we actually have residential and we also have online graduate programs. If you're looking for an online program, you're in the right spot today because that's where we kind of sit. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about just a few key elements that make up Gies Business and our online programs. And those are three things. First of all, flexibility. So our programs are designed for working professionals, full-time working professionals, to be able to work and learn and do that from wherever works best for you. So we have 100% online access for all of our coursework, all of our live sessions in our graduate certificates, as well as our iDegree programs. We're also really flexible as far as your degree planning goes. You'll take one or two courses at a time. The order of courses, your degree plan, that's all yours. So you're in charge of your pace, and your path. And, we assure you that we have a full, student academic success team that's there to help you kind of craft your plan. But really your pace is up to you, and you have plenty of time to kind of work as fast or as slow as you would like, and even take a term off if that's something that you need to do. Lastly, we are very flexible as far as your tuition goes. We have a pay-as-you-go tuition model where you only pay for each course that you're registered for. So kind of nice. It's got a little bit of a built-in financial, planning element there for you. There's no lump sum payment, and we do have a great university bursar office that can help you with payment plans and lots of different options there. Second key element is the stackable, or the stackability that we offer as far as our credentials go. You have access to test driving a course, and then you can build from there. So you can try out a course, you can stack that into the next kind of option. We're going to talk about those options here in the next slide. But with a stackable curriculum, the choice is yours really as far as where you start. So you could start, just with that one course. You could start with a graduate certificate, which is made up of 12 credit hours. You can start, jump all the way to just enrolling in a master's degree, a full master's degree. So the key thing here is just, you get to decide, and wherever you're at and whatever you can take on at that time is what you should do. And we have a lot of options for you there. Lastly, online by design. We just kind of like to touch on this because we've been focused in on this online delivery space since 2016, when we launched the IMBA program at an affordable price of just $22,000 when we first launched. We provided this fully online kind of virtual program with a really innovative delivery method that combines foundational material on the Coursera platform, along with a high engagement component that's going to include your faculty, your live sessions, your group projects, all of those sorts of things. But the key element here is that we didn't sacrifice the type of interactions and the collaboration that you will get in that high engagement component. And hopefully today, after we're done, you'll see the amount of networking opportunities and the peer-to-peer connections, those rich connections that you'll be able to create while in your program. I guess I'm going to pause here, Chelsea, and just throw it back to you real quick. Why did you choose Gies for your MBA program?
Yeah, there were a few reasons. A big one was I needed to find a program that was very affordable. 20 years into my career, I didn't feel like I would get the ROI of a $100,000 plus MBA program. And because I have 4 kids and I'm a single parent, I needed to, continue working. And I also needed to not give up every single weekend to travel somewhere to be on campus for a program maybe that was, a little closer to me. So the fact that it was an online program and the reputation of Illinois was a huge selling point for me. And then the flexibility has been so amazing, and a really critical part of that I can choose which classes I'm taking each term and how many. And even if I need to take a term off because, hey, I've got a kid that plays baseball, and so the season gets really intense and it's hard to do anything except, work and shuttle kids. So things like that. The program makes room for those, all those different life situations. And so everybody can tailor the program to how it best fits for their situations, which I think facilitates a lot of success and, a lot of knowledge gained.
For sure. I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head with talking about, everybody's in the program as a full working professional. And so you're not alone in trying to balance it all, right? And so I think a lot of people find a lot of peace in that, and have a lot of resources, right, to kind of learn how everybody else is making it through the program as well. So here is our all the stackable options that you have. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the degree access point page. So if you want to kind of follow along there, but this slide really illustrates all of the places that you can start. Our stackable content is designed so that you can choose the coursework based on your career goals. So you could start with that first cube, which is a Coursera MOOC or massive open online course that's on the Coursera platform, and start there. Start small and stack that into maybe the second cube, which is one 4 credit hour course. That course will stack into any of our degree programs. It'll also stack into a graduate certificate. So a great option if you just want to test drive what it's like to be a Gies student and see how we do things. We do have the graduate certificates, and that's the third cube there on the right. And those are made up of 12 credit hours. So these are really a great place to start if you're not sure which degree program is right for you, or maybe you are more interested in having a sooner than later kind of professional development tool or certificate that you can earn and be able to take that back to your employer and show them your progress in a specific area. So that's a great option there. Lastly, we have the farthest cube on the right, which is our full master's degrees, the IMSA, the IMSM, and the IMBA programs. And even there's stackability built in within those 3 degrees where you can stack a Master's of Science and Management or the IMSA, a Master's in Accountancy, and stack those into the MBA programs as well. So really at every level, we've got you covered. If you have specific questions about where to start, that's where we come in. We do have that full team of admission counselors, or I'm happy to have a conversation with you to help you figure out which is the best place for you to start. Now, I know you're probably you're excited to get into the networking, but I did want to just touch a little bit on how we do things here if you're brand new to Gies and what a course looks like. Our courses are made up of asynchronous components as well as synchronous components. The asynchronous component is on the Coursera platform. So there's 2 MOOCs built into every 4 credit hour course. These are career aligned specific training sets where you'll earn a digital certificate. You are going to have pre-recorded videos, some self-assessed quizzes, some reading assignments, as well as peer evaluations. This is a completion credit for like you cannot pass a course within one of our credentials without completing this component. In addition to that, you have the synchronous component. This is more where you're going to find the high engagement components of our program housed on the Canvas platform. Builds upon that MOOC material. The MOOCs are kind of like your textbook, your virtual textbook in our courses. Where you're going to see the interaction and the collaboration is going to be in your 90-minute live sessions each week. You're going to have group projects. You're going to have a lot of peer-driven discussions. And then you also have those faculty office hours. I know someone mentioned being excited about getting to know the faculty members. That is a great place to do that. They host these many, many times during the week where you can pop in and have a conversation with your professor, listen to other people's questions, things like that, and really get to know your professor. So that's how we do things. That's how your coursework will look. As far as the options, we do have those graduate certificates, that you can apply and enroll in. We have 13 of them. We have general business graduate certificates, and then we have accounting specific grad certs. As far as the degree programs, just a quick overview of these before we get into the networking opportunities. The IMSM is the Online Master of Science and Management. This is going to give you the essential leadership and management skills that you need in your career. Great for those just starting out in their careers. Great for maybe a mid-level professional who is pivoting and needs to kind of lead a team. And really great for just people who don't have any type of formal leadership and management training. The IMSM is 36 credit hours, which is going to break down to 6 required courses and 3 elective courses. All of our degree programs have great elective aspects to them where you have a choice in a lot of your coursework to really cater your degree to your interests, which is really nice. The MSM comes in at just under 12.5K, and you can take anywhere from 1 to 5 years. Now, typically it's going to be more like the 1 to 2 year range, but we do give you the option. You have a maximum of 5 years to complete the degree. And then 5 start dates. So we have January, March, May, August, or October for both the IMSM and the IMBA programs to be able to start. The IMBA program, so this is where Chelsea lives, and almost done. This is going to take a much deeper dive into the skills needed to really run a business with management, accounting, financial skills. It also is going to focus in on learning the business theory, behind current trends, and a lot of practical application through examples and case studies from your faculty and your fellow classmates to learn from. 72 credit hours, which is going to be 18 total courses. So the way that breaks down is that we have specializations that you'll complete, which each include 3 courses. And so you will have 4 that are your core specializations, and those are required. And then you have 2 focus area specializations, which is where the elective choices come into play. Capstone projects, you'll have 2 required capstone projects on 2 of the 6 specializations that you complete, and then a program capstone before you graduate. Coming in at just under $25,000 US dollars. And the MBA program is going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 years, with that, again, maximum of 5 years to complete. Chelsea, what are you looking at? Are you at 3 years?
Yeah, I started January of 22, so it will be exactly 3 years, and I did take a term off in there. So yeah, it is. There's been questions in the chat about, how many hours per week, and I would say in general, courses you're going to spend usually like 8, 10 to 15 hours per week, and that includes everything: going to class, watching Coursera, taking your notes, studying, doing your homework. There's been a couple demanding classes that maybe I'm spending more on, like the 18-hour per week. Though even that is not every week. And there's been some classes that have been low as, 5, 6 hours per week. So it depends on the content. It depends on your background as well. But in general, that's kind of, what I plan on every week.
Perfect. That's a great background information for those that are exploring the program as far as the time commitment goes. So jumping to the IMSA program, if anybody's interested in accounting, we have excellent accounting program here at Gies, #1 accountancy faculty according to BYU accounting research rankings, and also the #3 business school for graduate accounting. So excellent accounting. You will complete 32 credit hours. That's going to break down to 5 required courses, 3 elective choices. The average tuition is $24,000. It's going to be a range just based on your elective choices. And then you can complete this degree in anywhere from 18 to 60 months. If you're interested in the IMSA program, we do have 2 main start dates, January or August. And then you could also start in our May term, which is our summer term, if you want to start with a non-accounting elective choice as your first class. So great program there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about networking. So, we've covered all the credentials that we offer. A lot of times people ask, how am I going to meet people in this virtual environment? And I just want to assure you that no matter what, you are going to meet people in your coursework. You're going to meet people through a lot of the opportunities that, the college puts on, but really, we're going to go through all of these in detail here. But starting off with at the most basic level is your group work in the program. So you will have group work in your live sessions where you're going to have breakout sessions, and you're going to be discussing either a question or a case study from your professor. You're going to have group projects in every course. You're going to have a capstone project if you're in the IMBA program, 2 of them actually, where you're working with a group of 4 to 5 other students. We admit very, very diverse backgrounds with vast different professional work experience as well as education. So no matter what, you're going to have these diverse work groups, right, to work with within the program. But these are the people that you're getting to know in your classes. So Chelsea, how have group projects provided you a way to network in the program?
Yeah, I'll just say that, whether you want to or not, you are going to interact with people all the time in the program, because even during the live sessions, you have the opportunity to go into breakout rooms and discuss questions in more detail and then come back to the session. So I always looked at as even those breakout rooms as a chance to connect, even for a few minutes, with folks. I always write down their names, where they're from, the industry they're in. And so that, I mean, that's a quick way to meet and expand your network. And then, yeah, there are group projects in pretty much every class that you will take. And there have been a couple exceptions to that, but there's usually one, sometimes two. There are a few classes that have term-long group projects. Um, and I feel like the group projects are, these are typically things that you could do yourself, but this is an opportunity to um, practice being a leader. And that is a lot of what the program is focused on, is helping us to be leaders, not just doers, not just managers, but, leaders of people and initiatives. And so inside these group projects, you get a chance to, learn to interact with people from all different backgrounds, all different industries, all different levels of experience. And it's working together and learning to work together is, I would say, more important even than, arriving at the correct answer. When you have so many brains working on it, it's almost inevitable you will come to the correct answer. And so it's much more about learning to work together. And um, so through that, that's a really great way to practice the skills that the soft skills and the hard skills that you are learning in your classes.
Great, perfect explanation. I'm not going to add anything to that. But yes, just at the most basic level, you're kind of forced, right, to get to know other students in the program. So let's go through some of these. Workplace is another student-led kind of opportunity or resource that you'll have in the program. And what Workplace is it's a social media group, essentially, a meta group that we include all of our online students in. So if you're in an iDegree program. And what this is a space for students to share ideas at the most basic level, right? They share ideas. There's a study group for each course. There are industry type groups. I know I saw Chelsea putting together her resume and posted out there looking for, some connections, or, if you need help with your resume or things like that. That happens quite often. If you're traveling and you want to connect with other students, this is a great place to put that in there. I know that we had one student who was he was on a work trip and ended up in South Africa and had a day to kill and kind of put it out there. And another IMBA student picked him up at the airport and took him on a tour and had a day. So that just happens, like quite often in our program. Chelsea, workplace, has that been helpful for you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because your breakout rooms and your group projects, you only get, you've got limited time to interact. But workplace is where you get a chance to connect with those that are taking the same courses as you and talk about school, but also where you connect on just your personal interests. There's a Pets of iDegrees page where we can, share pictures of our furry study buddies. And there's cooking pages where we're sharing recipes. And there's a very active like women in business group that actually has weekly uh, further learning opportunities. So there's groups based around regions. Chicago alone has 4 different groups because there's such a high concentration of learners there. But and yeah, like Kate, where you mentioned that people will just post and say, hey, I'm going to be in Singapore for a week. who lives there, who's available, and that's the norm, so there really is this instant camaraderie that comes from being in the program, which I think really makes Gies a unique and special situation.
Yeah, and remember, like it's a global program, so you instantly have connections all over the world. And as Chelsea said, they're really our students are really open to those connections, and you have these friends in far places because you are in this program. So that's workplace. Chelsea mentioned students getting together, and a lot of these student kind of meetups happen and originate on workplace. And so one thing I will say about our students is they love creating these student-led meetups on their own. And this just happens domestically. It happens internationally, as you can see in some of these pictures, South Africa, Singapore. We are flooded with pictures of people getting together, and it's always really fun to see where and when they're meeting up. We also host something called iConnects from a college, from the college side. These are typically kind of created around times when our leadership or our faculty members travel, and we'll host a meetup, a meet and mingle kind of event where these happen domestically as well as internationally, and we'll invite alumni, we'll invite current, we'll invite some prospective learners sometimes to really just have a diverse group of people to connect with. We have the ambassador program, which Chelsea is part of. We started this back in fall of 2021, and we typically have around 100 plus ambassadors, student ambassadors. You apply to be part of this program, but just a great way to practice your leadership skills, be a part of something, within the program, be able to connect with prospective learners. They actually do things like Chelsea's doing today, act as a panelist in a webinar. We make connections all the time with our student ambassadors as well. We connect them with prospective learners to answer those questions. It's a big leap to take on a graduate level program. We want you to feel comfortable with your choice. We want you to meet a student in the program and hear what their experience is like. Ask them those hard questions that just gets down to the kind of the nitty gritty of what a course entails. How much time is this really going to take out of my already busy life? So really a wonderful opportunity. That picture, actually, we do kind of have a little reward lunch every year during iConverge, and we'll talk about iConverge here in just a second. But it's really fun to meet in person even and meet these students that have really given back to the program and just are a really important part of the recruitment process. And then also, just that personal development piece. So have you had a good time in the ambassador program, Chelsea?
Oh,
There's
yes.
there's
Yeah.
only one answer here, but
Well, Kate, I actually the slide that you had up before I was looking, you had 8 pictures up of student-led meetups, and I have, personally met folks in 5 or 6 of those photos. Like I have their phone numbers, in my phone, and I could call them up and have met them in person. And so, it really has been amazing the amount of connections that have been available through a virtual program and creating, real meaningful friendships that continue, even after people graduate. So that was an unexpected side effect for me, is I really did not think that level of authentic connection could be available through a virtual program. So,
yeah.
and there's endless opportunities to connect in person and virtually. And so I think that's one huge differentiator of Gies.
Yeah. I know there's often times where I will have a guest and I'm like, I've met you in person and you live, across either the United States or abroad. And I actually have met them when they come to campus and they come to our annual event. And it is really amazing to be able to create these peer-to-peer relationships and friendships really that will grow. So you're gonna make me cry, Chelsea. The other thing that that students all have a chance to participate in is the Illinois Graduate Business Association, or the IGBA. You do have complimentary general membership to all iDegree learners. Um, it's kind of like the official, this group is a little bit like the official voice of the students, right? Kind of like the student council, if you will. Really kind of creating that bridge between the administration and the leadership team and the students. And there's this open feedback there. I know, Chelsea, you've been a big part of that. There's 16 committees. They host really cool events. You want to talk a little bit about your experience in the IGBA?
You know I do. I've been on the board for 2 years, and so yes, GBA, I feel this is an opportunity where we create opportunities that help create as much of an on-campus experience as possible. Okay, what would an on-campus experience have that we don't yet currently have in a virtual environment, such as, lunch and learns, or just creating more opportunities for those professional development webinars outside of what we have during our in-person meetups in iConverge. And if a couple years ago, um, there was feedback and discussion that once per year wasn't often enough for folks to come to campus for the iConverge event in September. And so the winter takeover started in January, and then we added in 22 we added or 23 we added Spring Classic. So folks come in April, and so there are these bigger organized events, and being that voice is a big part of it. um, the administration is really very feedback seeking. And so the GBA helps, kind of, it gives students kind of a more accessible or a softer landing place to send feedback on to the administration and to help with the overall growth and betterment of the program.
Yeah, I think it is a great source of feedback. I know that's really important to us as a college and as a program. And we look for a lot of guidance there. I know we've discussed over many years that there's a real need for healthcare kind of topics, for instance. Well, we've gotten that feedback, we've worked together, and we're going to launch a graduate certificate in the healthcare space. So yeah, it's a great conduit for those conversations to happen. But really, there's so much professional development. Those opportunities, you can go to really amazing speaker sessions that are set up. You can volunteer and be a vice president of one of the committees, which I think is a great way to, kind of enhance your leadership skills. So yeah, it's a great organization, and they really do help the program quite a bit.
And it's fun.
And it's
We strongly believe in having fun. And that's what those in-person events are about.
Yeah. Oh, our students definitely like to have fun. And one event, for example, is iConverge. This is another great way to network. This is an event that we host every fall. It's kind of like our kind of kickoff to the year a little bit, but it's our annual professional development event where we bring all of our online students and alumni to campus. This past iConverge, we had 397 attendees and 37 states represented, 29 countries represented. We have a huge group that comes in from Singapore. I remember 2 years ago, I met a student who flew in to Chicago from Dubai, drove down to Champaign for 2 days, and then flew out 2 days later back to Dubai. So it's a big event. There's various professional development opportunities. We had this last iConverge, we always have a theme, and the theme was leadership, I believe. And we brought in some professional coaches that met with students. Larry Gies came and spoke to the larger group a couple years ago. So the dean usually has an amazing session where we get to learn from them. So just a great opportunity, and a lot of fun. We can go to a tailgate. We host a tailgate. There's a football game that we can go to. I think, Chelsea, you were in the football picture there a couple slides ago, but just a really cool event. Any other insight on iConverge, Chelsea?
Yeah, you can look at this picture and you might feel intimidated about going to an event like this, but um, someone once described it as iConverge is going with your 600 best friends to campus, and that really is what it feels like, that you make these in-person connections, and you really do have the opportunity to bond with people. And the amount of just generosity and camaraderie, I think, really is tangibly felt when we all come together. So, as soon as you get admitted to the program, come. We've got winter takeover happening January 10th and 11th. So, if you apply and get in, you know, come. So the very first winter takeover happened right after I got accepted to the program, and I was like, well, I don't know if I am legitimately enough a student to come attend, and that was short-sightedness on my part, because absolutely come. It doesn't matter if you haven't even officially started classes yet, if you just have your acceptance letter, if you just applied and you hope to get in, come, because you won't regret it. It's just always a meaningful, amazing experience.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to start too. Make some friends right from the get-go. So
Absolutely.
keep in mind, I mean, these are all optional opportunities. None of this is required. You can completely not do any of these things and have a wonderful experience as well. But I will say, the students probably who engage in some of these events, even if that's just one, you are going to really get a lot more out of the program, just with making those connections and being able to experience some of these kind of really cool events that we put on. So that's iConverge. iConverge is a just really fun. So if you have the opportunity to come to that, and if you are newly admitted for, let's say, an August or an October term, you can typically attend that event. Okay, so let's talk about another amazing networking opportunity that both Chelsea and I have been able to take advantage of. That is the immersion program, and these are opportunities that we put on 4 times a year, where you are going to apply. You're going to apply and take part in this project that's focused on solving a real business challenge that typically ends in a business competition near the end of your week. It's just an amazing opportunity to expand your career opportunities and your professional growth. You're going to learn about really diverse business practices and meet with various stakeholders in these communities, and different businesses in different countries, to learn how they do things there. You're going to be able to cultivate your professional skills and your knowledge through the group. Typically, you're going to be with 30 to 50 students. You're going to be able to get to know them in a way that you really never realized. I've witnessed it, but and really create those super strong bonds with those other students that are in the program with you. There's cultural immersions that you'll go on throughout your actual immersion. You'll have super fun dinners, and then the case competition really kind of is a really interesting kind of ending process or ending point to your week, and just seeing how serious the students take this. And it is a competition, and just that the time and effort that goes into preparing your presentation and presenting that to the local company. And a lot of times they take these ideas that our students are putting together and they run with them. This is affecting their business plan, and they're really gaining, important strategies that they didn't have from our group of students. So Chelsea, which immersion did you go on?
I did the Mexico immersion in January, and I actually did the virtual immersion for Japan in October as well. Like,
Okay.
the immersion program, to me, um, yes, it's exciting to travel and to, explore a new place, but we have these capstone projects that we can sign up for, and they're free. Um But the immersion is a chance to, those capstone projects, like they're a great way to bring together all the knowledge that you've been working on in one area. But the immersion program is an opportunity. Those cases are a bit sanitized. So the immersion program gives you an opportunity to work on a real problem for a real business. And so you're dipping your toes in the water of how complicated the answers can be. One of our favorite responses in the MBA program is it depends. And so you are looking at all those different opportunities, and there's not a right answer. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. And so you get a chance to practice what you're doing. And like Kate said, these are real businesses that are partnering with the school, and they're working with us as they would a team of consultants. And so we have, information. We're uh, gathering information even before that week that we're all together for the immersion. But then coming together is where we really get to learn more about the opportunities for business in the country or countries where you are at. And then you get to, it is beneficial to work in person with your team members. And, you guys are sitting there in pajamas, burning the midnight oil, eating, crickets on your nachos. And so creating those memories together. And I didn't know anybody in my case team before I went down there, but we still keep in touch. And it's been almost a year. And so those memories and just the impact of being in a country and the cultural opportunities, the cultural activities that the school set up were very meaningful. And so, yes, there's an extra cost associated with traveling, but it's, we talk in the program about opportunity costs, and this is one of those opportunity costs you just really can't quite quantify directly. I mean, I went to Mexico the very first week of this year. I actually spent New Year's Eve in Mexico City. And I mean, I've been thinking about this trip it's still very much going to Mexico was a big impact on me for this year, and I'm still thinking about it a lot and synthesizing the information that I learned from my experiences there. Overall, it also gave me a bigger appreciation for the opportunities available in Mexico and helped me to understand why the company I was working for was building up our operations there in Mexico. And so that the global knowledge and expanded worldview were another great opportunity.
Great explanation. Yeah, I mean, I was able to go as a staff member on our South African immersion this past summer, and I completely concur with everything that Chelsea said. The bond, in fact, I took this picture in front of Nelson Mandela's childhood home that he grew up in, and the bond that you see these adult students create and as they go through the week is just amazing. And this particular group, I know they met up at iConverge, and they've done other gatherings since our trip, and they're just really tight. But yeah, you create these lasting friendships on these trips as well. So a couple more details on the immersion trips. These are for all the iDegree learners in the IMSM, IMSA, and IMBA programs. And typically there's more MBA students, but we really are looking to encourage the other programs to take advantage of these opportunities. Really, any degree program can get a great perspective and learn a lot from one of these immersion trips. Now, Chelsea was mentioning capstones. That might have been a little confusing, but if you do go on an immersion trip and you're in the MBA program, it will count as one of your 2 capstone requirements. So that's what she was referring to. So, you can count that. You also, the capstones are 0 credits. You can do, I believe, as many as you want that you can fit in. They typically take place in between your terms, and so it can be a lot. Sometimes they overlap a little bit with a term. The summer capstones, you have a little bit more freedom, I believe, to have a little more time to participate in those, but it will count as one of those if you're in the MBA program. They're announced about 4 to 5 months prior. So we just announced, and I'll tell you where we're going this next year, just for the spring and summer months next year. Registration typically opens about 3 months before. The cost does vary based on the program and also the location. And then, as I said, you are all iDegree learners are eligible. If you do graduate before the immersion begins, though, you cannot participate. So get in early, try to apply early so that you can take advantage of this really cool opportunity. Someone was just asking about costs. So here's a little breakdown of the offerings that we have. There's 3 types of immersions. We have a virtual one, which is a 2-week project with cultural events that you'll kind of periodically meet up with your team and the group. And then we also pair up with a local university in these opportunities, and it comes in at $575 for that virtual experience. We have a brand new hybrid experience that we're doing this year, which I actually think is a pretty cool way to do it, where you will have 3 days of a virtual kind of immersion, and then it ends in everybody coming together for a 4-day in-person trip in one city. And so you kind of get the best of both opportunities. Little history: during COVID, we obviously had to cancel our in-person immersions, and that's where we created the virtual ones, but it really took off and people still really enjoyed the virtual immersions. It's also just a great opportunity to make it accessible to those who don't want to spend the extra money, or maybe you can't travel. But these really stuck, and they are really great experience as well. But the hybrid option is, something that we're going to try, and hopefully that will be a positive experience. And then lastly, the in-person international, which is what both Chelsea and I did. So that's a full trip over 7 to 10 days. You're going to visit typically 2 cities in South Africa. We went to Johannesburg for half the trip, and then we moved and flew in the middle to Cape Town, which is pretty cool. Let's see. So where are we going next year? We're going to go in March to Miami. So that's going to be a hybrid opportunity where we'll have the virtual component at the beginning, and then we'll travel there for a few days. In May, we're going to Vietnam in person, and then we're also doing Brazil in person in August. And then we'll probably have one more announced here that'll be later in the year. So okay, that was a lot of information. That's really the majority of the networking opportunities that you'll have as a Gies student, a Gies Online student. So, we kind of explained, some of these experiences are a little bit more involved, right? But remember, there's also all of those just basic networking opportunities built into your student experience, just within the courses, within your group projects that you'll have in your live sessions. The live sessions are really fun. If you haven't had a chance to check one of those out, we have a lot of them on our YouTube page that you can check out. We have mock live sessions that you can just see a little bit of kind of how those go. But there's a lot of chats, there's the breakout sessions, they're pretty interactive. So you don't necessarily have to pay extra money or go on an immersion to experience that peer-to-peer connection and the benefits of that in the program. So
Yeah, and Kate, we didn't really talk about the virtual immersion opportunities.
Yeah.
Historically, like the past few years, those have been to Colombia in March and Japan in October. And so, those are just like a very small extra cost. They've usually been about $500 or $600. And so it does make it available to more people who maybe can't swing the travel, either financially or their schedules. And so certainly that it is, you get some of the same benefits of the in-person immersion. You are working on a real problem for a real business. And like in the Japan immersion, and I know they've had this for the Brazil immersions, we were working with MBA students in the country that were on our project team. So you get a chance to network outside the program. And they still have, in Mexico, we travel to different companies to learn from one of their subject matter experts. And in this case, we had, those virtual learnings. So you do get some of the same knowledge and some of the same cultural learning opportunities. It's, a little more of a diluted scale on the cultural front because you're not in it and, fully immersed in it for a week, but certainly those opportunities are there if you can't, take 10 days off to go do an in-person immersion. Although I always tell people if they're on the fence to do it because you're going to do this program one time. So you're going to have this opportunity one time. And so, yes, it's some extra money right now, but down the road, you won't regret it.
Yes, thank you for filling in on the virtual. As I said, I think it was overwhelmingly a positive after we hosted that first one. So, okay, so any questions? I know I'm kind of trying to answer some in the chat as well as the Q&A, but now's the time to ask those questions as we wrap up here. As we do that, anything else that we missed, Chelsea, as far as networking goes?
Yeah, I think, you kind of mentioned earlier, and I'll just reiterate that what you put into the program is what you're going to get out of it. So, and I feel like you want to maximize your learning, and a lot of the learning comes outside of those Coursera videos and outside of the class session. So that was unexpected to me when I started in the program. And it's been very meaningful. That part of it has been very meaningful. And I was not expecting my MBA. That's not how I was expecting I would describe my MBA experience was meaningful, like personally meaningful and fulfilling and life-changing in a personal way, not just, I expected extra business knowledge and upskilling professionally. And so it's just really amazing. And I'm very grateful that it's been so much more than that.
Love that. Chelsea, there's a question from Joseph, and can you explain just in general what a capstone project is in the IMBA program?
Yes, so Kate mentioned there are 4 different core focus areas or core areas, and then there are 6 different focus areas. And so the 4 core areas, I'm talking for MBA, you can half this for MSM, and I think it's similar requirements for the MSA. But for the MBA, you have 4 core areas. After you finish all 3 classes in one core area, you can take a capstone, which brings together all of the learning from that area. So the core 1 area is, I think, like leadership and management. And so you've got your 508, which is about leadership in teams, and BADM 509 is about managing and designing the organization, and BADM 544 is strategic management. And so the capstone project is 2 weeks, and you work in a team of 5 people that you can select or be assigned to, and you're given a case problem to work on, and you have to develop a solution and present that. And so it's a great way to take your siloed knowledge and build those connections. And so you're required to do 2 of those throughout the MBA program. There's 1 required for the MSM, and the immersion opportunity can count for 1 of those. So I did 2 immersions, but only 1 of them counted as a capstone project. So I did a capstone project a while ago. And, you can still have the, networking experiences from a capstone and that, coalescence of all that knowledge coming together. So I would have liked to do a capstone project in every single area because they're not an extra cost, but it's the squeezing one more thing into your schedule because it does overlap the beginning of the next term. And so I wasn't able to do it for all the things. And, this past term, I could have done a capstone project for the Global Challenges focus area or the Japan immersion. I mean, I could have done both, but I decided to just do Japan immersion. And so, because you kind of get different bonuses. And so I liked kind of what I mentioned earlier is your capstone project is a little sanitized. And I like the complicated messiness of a real problem.
Awesome. A couple other questions and then we'll wrap up here. Let's see, AI and coursework. Obviously the Gies College of Business is committed to AI. We have a specific person that's leading the charge in that space. We have an elective course that you can take. You'll notice in some of our Coursera MOOCs, they're actually piloting right now. There's an AI tool that goes along with your lesson that can kind of help you in that space. It's everywhere, right? So if we weren't doing, incorporating AI, we would be not doing it right. So yeah, have you seen any changes in that space, Chelsea, just in your courses? And
Oh yeah,
I
just
I
in the
know the
past few
faculty members,
years.
they're learning how to use it as well. We're constantly trying to train them in that space too.
Yeah, just even in the past, I would say year and a half, it is much more a topic of discussion. And I work in analytics. I mean, I'm using AI in, as much as I possibly can. And so that is, I think, feel the administration has seen that interest and that demand. And so, like Kate mentioned, there is a course added. Um, you have some professors, such as in the analytics space, one professor encourages you to use AI to fully do your homework. Others are saying, okay, use elements of it. So it is dependent on the professor and the course. But yes, AI is one of those where it's kind of moving out to all of the courses, and then you have new courses that are focused on that.
Perfect. I think we got most of the questions answered, and just because we have 2 minutes here before the top of the hour, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Quick deadline information if you're interested in applying for an upcoming term. We just had a deadline on Monday that was for a January start. If you're interested in just starting with a non-degree course or a graduate certificate, you can still apply by the 5th, which is in 2 days, to start in January. Otherwise, for the MSM program as well as the IMBA program, you can apply by February 6th for a March start. If you miss that deadline, then we do have the May term, and so you'll have a deadline after that. But we have, we have 5 terms throughout the year, so we pretty much have a term coming up for you to apply to. If you're interested in the MSA program, remember again, we just passed our January deadline, so now the next option would be to start with the non-accounting elective course in May. So you can apply to the IMSA program for a May start, or start with the full program in August. So those are our upcoming deadlines. If you want to talk more, reach out to me. My email's here on the screen. We've got that QR code again that connects you with our admission counselors, or you can email our general email at giesonline@illinois.edu. But it's been a pleasure to be here today, Chelsea. Obviously, thank you so much. Your experience, you've really taken advantage of a lot of the networking opportunities. So thank you so much for being here and sharing that. I'm sure Chelsea would connect with any of you on LinkedIn if you're interested in asking some more questions of her. I know our students really love LinkedIn, and they're all over. It's a great resource, and she could probably connect you with many of them. But
I
thank
did
you so
put
much.
my URL in the chat there too. So
Perfect. You can also search. We do have an Ask Gies Online Anything LinkedIn group specifically for prospective learners to ask questions and check out some recent information. So that's another good resource. So, but thanks for being here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week and happy holidays, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Have a good day.